Hey everyone, today I'm gonna give you some insight into what life is like as a full-time RVer, specifically in the kitchen. I'm gonna talk about what it is like having to prepare and cook food in our travel trailer's kitchen every single day. Now, our travel trailer has what I would call a full kitchen. We've got a sink, a stove, an oven, a fridge, a pantry, even a spice rack. The only thing that we're missing is a dishwasher. A dishwasher, I miss those so much. But it's the size of our kitchen that really makes cooking and preparing food, sweetie girl, I love you too, thank you. That really makes preparing food a little difficult, and so in this video you're going to hear a lot more cons to cooking and preparing every meal in an RV kitchen than you will pros. My biggest pet peeve while cooking is people getting in my way while I'm rushing about the kitchen, trying to do things while, the food is on heat, and so, I need to get the ingredients in at a certain point, or, whatever, and I'm just rushing around, people get in my way, and I just want to scream, get out of my kitchen! I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and that is a real problem in our travel trailer because our kitchen is right in the middle of our travel trailer, and we don't have any slides, so everything is pretty cramped in here, and so it separates our living space, which I'm standing in, from our bedroom space, which is over there at the front. And really there's only enough room for two people to like squeeze by each other in this little walkway here. And so, if I'm cooking and Ro needs to get from the living room to the bedroom or vice versa, she has to cut in front of, or cut into my space while I'm cooking, and it can be pretty frustrating. And when our bathroom door is open, there's even less room between us. You can see how much room our bathroom door takes up. And we sometimes leave our bathroom door open just for a number of reasons. Sometimes I need to actually get into the sink in the bathroom because I need this sink to be covered because I need that extra counter space to prepare the food, and so I need to use the sink in the bathroom to wash my hands after breaking eggs, or to strain out whatever, wash vegetables. And so when the bathroom door is open, we've even got less room for people to move past in the kitchen while we're cooking. Another frustrating aspect about cooking in our small space is that the stovetop and the oven put out a lot of heat, and it really does heat up the inside of our travel trailer. So if, it's like the middle of the day on a really hot day, say it's like 85 or 90 degrees outside, we're already struggling to keep it cool in here as it is, and so we postpone cooking until the sun has set. So if we're in the middle of the summer, we're waiting pretty late to start cooking to have dinner. Now, this could be alleviated by having some type of small grill that I could cook on outside, and I'm actually looking into getting something like that. That would definitely help on those really hot days, take the heat outside. But then conversely, on cold days when we've got all the windows closed, the problem we deal with is moisture buildup when we're cooking, because whenever you burn a hydrocarbon like propane, one of the outputs of that chemical reaction of burning it is water vapor. And so, when we've got the burners going, we're just pumping out water vapor into the inside of the trailer, and then it condenses all over our windows and makes it very humid inside. And that humidity can be really hard to deal with in colder temperatures. So cooking in hot and cold can be a little annoying. Before we get to the rest, I want to tell you really quick about this video's sponsor, 3-in-1's RVcare Rubber Seal Conditioner. 3-in-1 RVcare Rubber Seal Conditioner is specifically designed to condition and protect all types of RV rubber seals, including those on slide-outs, doors, windows, and compartments. Its long-lasting, water-resistant formula reduces friction and wear. Its special UV shield prevents cracking and fading and can help extend the life of your seals. And going into winter, it's pretty important to spray this on all of your exterior rubber components to protect them from cracking during the cold of winter. And it's really easy to apply. All you do is just spray it directly onto the rubber and then wipe it off. Repeat that for the rest of the rubber around all of your windows, seals, and doors, and you're good to go. Another big frustration about cooking in our small space is that we have very, very little counter space. You're seeing it right here. This is all the space we have to prepare food. And if we need the kitchen sink, and if we're cooking on the stovetop, then it really removes almost all of our counter space. You know, we've just got that little small spot next to the stove to set our ingredients down at and prepare food. So what we do to adapt to this is we try and do as much prep as we can before we need to start utilizing the stovetop so that we can still have that stovetop while it's covered to sort of act as counter space to, you know, be able to spread our ingredients out a little more and prepare food. And then after we're done cooking, you know, we have to clean up pretty much immediately once we're finished eating, because, you know, if we're like cooking a complex meal that has multiple pots and pans, a lot of ingredients, you know, it makes a little bit of a mess while we're cooking it, then our kitchen is, it just looks like a tornado went through. It looks obliterated because there's just not a lot of room for all of the stuff, you know, that we do when we're cooking. And so it just looks like there's stuff everywhere and it just gets so messy. And so yeah, we have to clean up immediately after we're done cooking. Well, done eating. We usually eat first because you don't want the food to get cold. Like I said earlier, we don't have a dishwasher in our travel trailer, and so we have to wash all of our dishes by hand, and on top of that, all of our dirty dishes go in the sink. And our sink is not that big. It is a lot bigger than the sinks that go into a lot of other travel trailers and RVs. And so for that, we are really thankful, but it still can't hold a lot of dirty dishes like a skillet or a pasta pan or a pasta pot that you'd, make spaghetti in, and some plates. And then it's pretty much completely full and there's no room for anything else. So if we're cooking, if we're cooking one or maybe two meals, the dishes will need to be done. Otherwise, they won't fit in our sink. And we usually cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so we have to constantly be washing our dishes by hand. Otherwise, we both won't have enough dishes to cook, you know, the next meal, the next day, and also our sink will get completely full and we won't be able to close the cover over our sink. And we have to have that cover over our sink if there are any dirty dishes in it, because our cats are butts and they will just lick all the dirty dishes, and our one cat, Butters, has food allergies, and so if she gets into the sink and licks the dirty dishes, then she has an allergic outbreak and it's this whole thing. And so yeah, so we really have to stay up on dishes, and that can be pretty frustrating. Another frustration is that our fridge, our freezer, and our pantry are a lot smaller than what we used to have in a house. So our food storage is a lot smaller. You know, this is our pantry. That's it. That's all the room we've got. And so what we have to do is we have to plan out our meals sort of ahead of time before we go to the grocery store, because we can only buy so much food to store in our pantry. So we usually go to the grocery store about once a week or maybe every 2 weeks to do like a big full grocery run. And we sort of need to cook or to plan out, you know, what are we going to be cooking for dinner in that week or 2 weeks, and buy only those foods, because we won't have room if we're, you know, just buying a bunch of stuff willy-nilly. We won't have very much extra room in our fridge or our freezer. And we do have some staples that we always have on hand, like fish, shrimp, eggs, bread, etc. You know, we always make room for those things in our fridge and our freezer. But for the different dinners that we cook, you know, if we want to try something new or cook a dinner that we don't cook very often, we need to definitely have some strategy and some thought ahead of time before we go grocery shopping. Our oven is also pretty annoying to bake with, and I don't know what it is, something about RV ovens, they just don't work as well as residential ovens. And what we found when trying to bake something is that it will take 2 or 3 times longer to bake in the oven than what it says on the recipe, despite having, you know, the knob turned to the correct temperature. I don't know if it's something about the oven just not being well insulated, or there not being, you know, as much thermal mass inside the oven, so it can't really keep its temperature at that same setting as well. I don't really know what it is, but it's really frustrating. And something else that we'll notice is down the middle of the baking pan, you know, whatever we're baking there will be, you know, if we're not careful, will burn right there, because the burner runs down the middle long ways in our oven. And so it'll burn in the middle, and then the outsides will not even be close to cooked, which is, this is even more frustrating. And so what we found, or what we're pretty sure will help with that, is a pizza stone to help distribute that heat around the bottom of the baking pan a little better. And also what we do is we'll sort of like move the baking pan around when we go to check and see if it's been fully cooked or not. We'll like slide it to the other side in the oven so that it's not still baking, you know, where the burner is, right in the middle, straight down the middle of the baking pan in the same spot. So those are really all the downsides I could think of cooking in a small space, in our travel trailer or an RV, but there are some positives to it as well. And the most obvious one is that I get to take my kitchen with me everywhere. You know, we're full-time RVers. We live in this thing and we travel the country in our travel trailer, and our kitchen, all the kitchen appliances, all the food in our pantry, our fridge and our freezer goes with us. So when it comes to preparing food, cooking meals day in and day out, and what type of food we can eat, we don't have to rough it. You know, we can purchase whatever we want from the grocery store, take it across the country with us, cook it on site in our campsite, and it's pretty sweet having a full kitchen with us everywhere we go while traveling. And then another great thing about cooking in our RV is that, you know, our travel trailer pretty much has an open floor plan layout. And so whoever's in the kitchen is not separated from anyone else in the travel trailer. You know, I'm only like 10 feet away from Ro at any time. If she's in the living room of our travel trailer or in the bedroom, we're still, for all intents and purposes, in the same room. And so I'm not separated from her while I'm cooking. She's not separated from me while she's cooking. And even if one of us is outside or we are camping with friends, there is a window right in our kitchen. And so if people are hanging outside in the campsite, then you're still, you know, you can still hear them talking. You can still interact with them by just talking, you know, lowering your head and talking out the window. And so really, wherever people are in the campsite or in the travel trailer, if you're in the kitchen cooking, you're not separated from them. And then another positive about a small kitchen is that while you're cooking, it reduces the amount of like running around or hecticness that there can be while you're cooking a really complex meal, because everything is just right here. The pantry, the fridge, the freezer, the stove, the sink, everything is just right there. And so you're really just kind of turning around to get, you know, different ingredients or different cooking equipment or utensils. Whereas I have cooked in a really large kitchen before. My parents' kitchen is actually pretty big. And so stuff is just strewn about all over the place. And you can really feel like you're running around the kitchen a lot, and it can feel a lot more hectic when cooking a complex meal. So those are all the pros and the cons of cooking in a small kitchen in a travel trailer or RV that I could think of. If you guys have any more that I didn't touch on, please let me know in the comments below so that other people can see what your pros and cons are as well. But that's all for this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Sweet girl. You want to say bye? Good girl.